Just to give you a sense, look, the situation on the ground continues to be quite tense. It remains very tense. External Affairs Minister is currently in New York, and he is likely to meet UN Secretary General later today. We have set up a 24/7 dedicated control room for providing information and assistance. I wanted to assure you that we are in readiness of taking multiple options. Our mission in Khartoum has been in contact with the Indian community there, as you mentioned yourself, I think one of you, through multiple channels, informal, formal. Our embassy has issued several advisories, which you would have seen. In New Delhi, as some of you mentioned, we have set up a 24/7 dedicated control room for providing information and assistance, and the coordinates of those control room has been shared publicly. We are engaged with countries in the region and other countries that have a key role to play, particularly US, UK, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. As you already know, External Affairs Minister spoke to his counterparts from Saudi Arabia and UAE. He has today spoken to his Egyptian counterpart. Our ambassador in Washington, D.C. and our High Commission in London are in touch with the respective host governments. We are also working with the various UN bodies that are present there. As you know, UN has a significant presence on the ground. External Affairs Minister is currently in New York, and he is likely to meet UN Secretary General later today and to discuss the developments in Sudan. In terms of the situation on the ground, as you are aware, there's been an unfortunate death of an Indian national. His body is currently at a hospital. Finally, after a lot of effort, we have been able to get that body moved from his apartment complex into a mortuary in a hospital, and we are seeing how to get that body either back or his family evacuated. We'll see. Our embassy is in touch with the family of the deceased as well as the medical authorities there. Just to give you a sense, look, the situation on the ground continues to be quite tense. It remains very tense, which renders any movement very risky. Currently our focus is on ensuring the safety and well-being of the individuals wherever they are located. I'll come to some of the questions that you specifically answered, but largely we are monitoring it. We are in touch with the people. Let me emphasize that, look, we understand the difficulties people are facing. The situation on the ground, as I mentioned, is changing. It's quite fluid. There are incidents happening at various locations, and we are advising the community members who are reaching out. In fact, there are mechanisms. They have signed up to a form where they're giving all the details, so we have some sense of how many people are there. But again, the power is patchy, internet connectivity is patchy, so we're not sure yet how many finally will be there. I see a lot of social media posts saying, oh, this group has not been contacted, or a certain person from this tribe or some. I assure you they have been contacted. Even as we came in, we had outreach. We're trying to reach out to them in their local languages, trying to reassure them that it is perhaps the best that they stay where they are or somewhere close by, because movement on the streets currently is unsafe. So that would be my response in terms of how many there. जैसा मैंने कहा, कितने लोग हैं, कहाँ है, ये अभी हम आपके साथ नहीं शेयर कर पा रहे हैं सिक्योरिटी रीजंस के लिए, पर हम सबसे संपर्क में हैं. There was a question regarding what kind of, I think Manas, you asked, UAE, Saudi Arabia, I mentioned that. Look, I think almost all countries and the citizens are having the same difficulty. The airport is non-operational. There is intense fighting going around in various parts of the country, and in the city, particularly in Khartoum. And I think various countries are looking at options, how to get their citizens out, how to get their diplomatic personnel out. And we are obviously in close contact with them, whether through the capitals, through their embassies in Khartoum, as well as in New Delhi. The support is not specific, it depends. Some countries have some influence and information. Other countries perhaps could guide us in what measures they are taking. Perhaps we can pool resources. At this point, it's a bit premature, but we are in touch. Certainly, as I mentioned, UAE and Saudi Arabia are on that top of that list. Meena, you asked about the control room. Look, most of the calls, the contact is actually happening in Khartoum. However, there are people who are contacting here. So I wouldn't know the exact number, but at least 100+ calls would have taken place in the less than 24 hours that this is, or a little more than 24 hours that this is operational. But I have to check the exact number. Many of them are asking for their relatives, etc., where they are. and what should they do. We are asking them if there's somebody who hasn't contacted our embassy, and let me reiterate that to people who may be watching this broadcast. If you are in Khartoum or you know of people in Sudan who have not yet reached out to the embassy, please do contact our control room or the numbers of the embassy so that you can be put on a list so that you know where you are and how we can render assistance to you. You had specific questions regarding from Srinjoy. You had asked about outside the Indian embassy. Look, the Indian embassy actually is located just opposite the airport, and that zone has seen a lot of fighting. There's been some shelling, etc. So I wouldn't be able to specifically comment on whether it has happened specifically outside the embassy, but yes, there are reports that in that zone where there are many embassies, there are attacks going on. There have been certainly gunfire and fights on the street. If the situation on the ground improves and there is a pause in the fighting or there's some formal ceasefire, we will certainly take advantage of that. Primarily to first, I think, to get people together in safer areas, provide food stuff, provide water, those kind of things. But for the moment, it is still a very tense situation where there is not been too much of a respite from the fighting, although the intensity has been going up and down from time to time. I wanted to assure you that we are in readiness of taking multiple options. There are contingency plans. We are in close touch with our teams on the ground, but it all depends on how long there is a pause in the fighting or a ceasefire, where it is happening, what is available in terms of locations where we can safely take people away. I think that was related to Reza. You had asked a question regarding food and electricity, etc. Yes, there are issues of electricity. Parts of the city, we understand, have not had power for intermittently or for a few days. Food, I understand there is food, but look, street movement is difficult and shops aren't open, so that makes it much more difficult. We are trying to counsel, our embassy is trying to counsel groups or Indians how they can assist or they can find ways to get over this period. I won't be able to share with you specific details. That will depend on where exactly they are located and what are the local facilities available. I think you had another question largely on Khartoum, no? Or that I missed? No, yes, they're in different parts. Either they're hotels, some of them in housing. Remember, this happened very quickly, and I don't think people were able to find other options. But yes, we are in touch with them. Everybody is safe and sound. I wanted to emphasize that, look, our embassy has been really pushing in terms of trying to track down every Indian who's there, who's registered, trying to build a database of information, trying to counsel them, trying to tell them what should they do in terms of remaining safe. Our advice, let me reiterate again, is that at this point they need to be where they are and seek shelter where they are rather than trying to go somewhere else till the situation improves.